Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and to another review. So this is going to be a review that I didn't plan, funny enough. I'm one of those terrible influential friends. So I have a friend, Mark. You've seen actually some of his watches on the channel. You've seen his IWC Flieger, and you've also seen his Nomos Orion. And the poor guy, ever since he's met me, we've continued to drain his bank account, and he's been buying more watches. So I'm so sorry, dude. I'm a bad influence. I take some credit for this, which makes me happy, of course. But anyway, he stopped by and showed me he bought another Seiko. He bought a SARG, S-A-R-G. He'd been a fan of my SARB, but he wanted to get something different. So he bought a SARG001, and it's a super, super cool watch. And basically just showed up with it. It's like, hey, let's do a review on it. So that's what I did. And now he's on his way to Hong Kong right now, and watching the clip, it's not done to the same level I would have liked to have done it. So they basically just kind of like handed me the watch, turned the camera on, and I shot a review of it. So some little quirks you're going to notice in the review just before I get started is the microphone got super hypersensitive for some reason. So they picked up some stuff, including Mark playing around with my chairs in the background. So let's see how many times you can hear like squeaks and rattles going on in the background of the clip. So it's kind of funny. I would typically reshoot this, but again, Mark is halfway across the world right now, and I don't have the opportunity, so I figured, hey, what the hell? I'll just go ahead and send it out as is. So all that said, hope you guys enjoy the review. Again, this was a very kind of unplanned, off the cuff, but I'm sure you can tell in my excitement of the review that I adore his watch, and I want a SARG now too. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the SARG001. This is going to start off with the packaging. And as you guys know, I get super excited anytime I see Seiko on a box. So seeing Seiko here is always a good first step. We also have here on the side of the box some nice Japanese hiragana, katakana, and kanji, which always makes me excited too. Although there's a nice little made in Cambodia down here, which is not something I would have expected. So interesting as it were. Let's go ahead and close this. And it's a really soft feeling box, which is kind of cool. So inside, you get some nice normal Seiko fare here. Let's see what's in here. Seiko instruction manual, which is all in Japanese. But we're all part of the watch community, so we can all figure this out, right? Anyway, nice little Google search if you don't know what this stuff is. But it's always cool to get the manual. And then you have the nice little warranty card here as well, which again is going to be in Japanese, which is again telling you that this is a JDM watch, which is nice. And as you can see, the watch originally sold in Japan too, so one more reason to get excited. But we're here to see the watch. Let's go ahead and take a look at the watch. This box is kind of soft and feels really nice, surprisingly. And in the back here, got the nice little Seiko logo, and sitting down here on this little pillow is our friend the SARG001 itself. So let's go ahead and take this off the pillow and just take a look at the watch. So the first thing you're going to notice is, of course, that beautiful dial, which depending on the light that catches it, you could call it white, but it's definitely more of a cream color, which is actually very similar to my other little friend over here, the SARB, which also has that kind of a cream color going on with it. But one of the reasons that this watch stands out, for a multitude of reasons, is the bezel. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So if you look at the outer ring here of the dial, you actually have this inward bezel of sorts, or outer ring, which is actually a compass. And it's something that can be manipulated down here with this crown at 4 o'clock, which by turning it, you can actually change the direction of the compass. Now, if you're actually curious on how this functions, I'll go ahead and include a link below in the description so you guys can check it out. But if you're just here for the quick and dirty of what it does, the crown at 4 o'clock will adjust that compass. Speaking of crowns, as with most watches in this range of Seiko, you get a nice little signed S crown. And as you saw, I was just able to rotate it. So it is not a screw-down crown, which is honestly not strange considering that this is not a dive watch. But as this uses the 6R15 movement, this is a hackable unit. So as you could see here, I was actually winding the watch. So first position is winding. Second position changes the date. Today is the 16th. And also a nice feature, especially to us that have been Seiko fans for a while, is hacking. So the second hand will stop to set the time, something your 7S26 would not have done, unfortunately. Those of you that are curious, by the way, about the movement, which we can go ahead and take a look at here. This is the 6R15C. This is the same movement you will find in the SARB clan watches, including the SARB035. It has a 50-hour power reserve, and it is, I believe, about 21,000 plus, 21,600, 500, somewhere around there. I don't remember off the top of my head, beats. So you're going to get a nice mechanical ticking here, or a nice mechanical sweep. It's not going to, beat the same way that like a Rolex or an Omega or any of those movements that are 28,000 beats per hour or higher, and certainly not like anything like a spring drive or even an El Primero movement. But so it's going to have a more noticeable ticking. But that's part of what makes these watches, I think, kind of fun to have. Is they definitely, that ticking reminds you that it's a nice mechanical watch, which is something kind of cool. This watch, being a Seiko, as with all Seikos, no exception, it has a very clean and clear dial. There's really good coloration, the printing is very fine, and the markers are all obviously applied with precision, and they look very nice. One thing I will point out, though, is I keep bumping the crown at 4 o'clock. The compass there is very easy to manipulate, so I don't know how effective that would be in field use, but just a quick observation. I also really like the second hand. It's very clear. And it reminds me very much of older tool watches of yore. I really like the way that looks. So very clean. This is a very thin case. It actually has a very similar case thickness to like I'm thinking of my Omega Seamaster, even my Rolex GMT Master or Explorer 2. It's very wearable, thin. And actually the bracelet itself is thinner than most Seikos that I'm familiar with as well. They have a high polish on the side, and then you have these nice brushed links in the center, so you can scuff it up on a desk and it's not going to cause any issues there. This has one of the nicer clasps that Seiko's ever offered too. It's a twin button deployment, squeeze, release. It's been machined to a nice quality, and again, this actually reminds me of some nicer watches. It actually reminds me of the clasp on my Omega Seamaster 300. Feels of very similar quality, and definitely a nice touch. The bracelet itself, as you may or may not be able to see as it's high polish here, uses push pin links. So these are not screw out. You are going to need something to put in there to remove it. There's actually push pin removers, but they're a little bit more difficult to adjust, and it would always be nice to have screw in links, but given the price point, not a big deal. The buckle itself is of course marked Seiko, and the other thing that's nice is you do have a couple points of fine adjustment here. So as your wrist swells or shrinks given temperature and humidity conditions, you can make some micro adjustments to make it fit you a little bit better. But the bracelet is very thin, and I mean that in a good way. It actually feels very comfortable, and it's very pliable. So it's definitely going to be something that's always going to be comfortable to wear on the wrist. And speaking of the wrist, let's go ahead and put it on mine. Now, I'm wearing one of my favorites, obviously, my little SARB035 today. Let's go ahead and slide this back. Pop this on. And you're immediately going to notice the difference in size. The SARB, for reference, on the right is 38 mil. The SARG over here on the left is 41 mil, so you're definitely going to notice a little bit more of a difference here. And you also will definitely notice that the SARG is slightly more sporty, whereas the SARB is definitely more dressy. But it's got an extremely legible dial, very easy to read from this distance. And the other thing you'll notice, if you look at the SARB, the hour markers are actually not loomed, but they actually went out of their way and bothered to loom the outer markers for the hours on the SARG. So at nighttime, with Edison and Seiko and all the Japanese leaders doing really good loom, as with all Seikos and most Japanese watches, you're going to get really good loom at night. And I'll have to go ahead and include a clip for you so you can see what the illumination looks like. But you can even tell from here the way they've done it that it's going to glow really nicely at nighttime if you're out in the woods or doing something on your grand adventures. So, and again, it wears very slim to the wrist. So this is definitely something you could fit under a dress shirt, and it would go nicely. And depending on the way the light catches it too, the dial is very pretty and it glows in slightly different ways. So there you go, guys. Those who are curious, the SARB has a completely flat clasp. It's in unison all the way through, where there's kind of this flared bit on the end of the SARB too. Not really sure why they did that, but I kind of like that little detail. There's that little bit of a flare here. And I'd show you too that the just kind of interesting that I have these both here for comparison here. Not sure I'll be able to pick it up on camera here, as they're so shiny. But the SARG does feel ever so slightly thinner than the SARB. But and from this angle, I'm sure you guys aren't probably going to notice that so much. But even the bracelet on the SARB is a little bit thicker. But it's kind of hard to point it out on camera. Anyway, guys, yeah, this is the SARG035 or the SARG001, excuse me. Really, really nice watch. And owning a SARB, I can definitely say that I would own a SARG too. I think that they would be nice to have both. So who knows? I may end up picking one of these things up. But as with all Seikos in this price point, it's done to an extremely high level, and I would compare it favorably to higher end pieces in my collection. Like I said, my Omegas and even my Rolexes. I think this will compare favorably in terms of quality to some of my Rolexes, which I'm sure will get me some hate. But very, very cool piece. And with all that said, let's go ahead and jump back. All right, guys, welcome back. And I also forgot to mention in the beginning the customary wristwatch check. Right now I'm wearing my Seiko Monster on a NATO. You guys know I adore this watch, and as you saw in the review too, I adore the SARG, and I've already told Mark if he ever decides to sell that watch, he better give me a call and let me offer or make an offer on it, because I absolutely adore it. So all that said, guys, again, I apologize. It wasn't quite to the normal specs. It was a rushed review with no opportunity to reshoot it for a while as he's out of the country now. So hope it was good enough for you guys. Hope you enjoyed the watch. It's a super cool watch in my opinion. I absolutely adore it. And beyond that, a couple other quick things. Thank you guys so much for letting me continue to be part of your community. You know, I'm kind of an introvert, which a lot of people watching on YouTube probably wouldn't pick up on. So I know you guys, I'm part of the same community you are. We catch each other sometimes on the same vlogs or on the same community channels and such, but I don't really comment as much or make my presence known as much, but I am there, and I do appreciate the sense of community. So I got to get out of my shell a little bit more and be a little more active with you guys on some of these community channels and on Facebook and such. I'm not very good at it. So apologize for that, but thank you so much for always continuing to be so friendly and nice to me, letting me guys be a part of your community. It's very great to be a part of this community, and I cherish it. Speaking of things that I'm grateful for, in the US, we're getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, and in between this video and my next upload, Thanksgiving will have happened. And so, obviously we just had an election here and some other stuff's been going on, and I'm not going to comment on any of that because that's not what it's about. But I know we've had, some differences going on, and there's been some drama and all that. And Thanksgiving, I think, is a great opportunity for us to kind of put our stuff aside and just be appreciative of the people that are in our life and our situations. So I think the constant lesson we all learn in life is it can change at any moment, and people in your life may not be there tomorrow that are there today. So to just appreciate people, even though we may want to punch them sometimes or disagree with them or have different opinions. But I think Thanksgiving is a great reminder to just be appreciative for what we have and to let those that are around us know that we care about them. So a little bit of advice on that front. Sorry to be preachy, but it just reminds me that this is what's important, and I hope you guys get an opportunity, even if you're not in the US, to again appreciate those people that are in your life as well. All that said, guys, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, go ahead and give me a thumbs down. I deserve it in your mind. And comments are always appreciated, although I can't always respond to them. A couple other really quick things. The live sessions I've talked about, I'll keep those going. I know there's some people that you probably like me to have on those. I'm open to having anybody on my live sessions, honestly, even some people that might be polarizing. My only rule is whoever I end up talking with, the conversation needs to be about watches or basically anything, but it can't be about other people. I don't do drama, but if it's not about drama, I'm happy to talk to anybody and everybody, and I welcome it. So if you guys have people you'd like me to speak with, there's topics you'd like me to talk about, let me know. I can't promise it, but I'll definitely try to consider it. And same thing too with content or just questions in general. Feel free to ask me anything. Feel free to let me know what you want. I can't promise I'll answer everything, and I can't promise I can give you everything you want, but I'm definitely open to hearing what you guys are looking for. So as always, guys, thank you so much. Blessed to have you. And if you haven't already, subscribe so we can catch you there on the next video. And also check out my channel, as there's probably videos on there you guys may not have realized I've actually even made that may be of interest to you as well. So all that said, talked a lot. Have a good one, guys.